Hey there, folks, it's Aaron here to let you know that the world is out of balance because you haven't been putting any money into my balance account. Please, go to patreon.com/evacstation to put some money into the account. With that, we can then afford good things like a sound mixer and better microphones and maybe even convention trips. You can see us in person. Hey! Look, there we are in that booth over there. We could afford the money you gave us. So for only $1 a month, you can help support this show and all the fun adventures we could have. For $12, it's $12 a whole year. That's less than the cost of fucking... What Ryan, what costs $12? Give me something that costs $12.
Fucking 2 lattes? I don't know.
It's cheaper than getting lattes at Starbucks. A lot of things are, but this is cheaper than getting lattes at Starbucks for an entire year. So go on down to patreon.com/evacstation and bring balance to our balance account today.
She don't take no prisoner. She gotta give me the business. Got a dragon on my back. Yeah, it's a dragon attack. Get down. Nice answer.
When the dragons arrive, it means the internet is out of balance. Through our podcast, we shall remove fear and doubt and restore this balance. We are Prince Aaron. I mean, it was an easy one. And with me today, I'm accompanied by my friend and hero to all people, Brian Hawk.
Excuse me. Hello, guys.
I like how it's clean audio. I'm going to just cut that. I'm going to use it after every time I say Sparrowhawk. It'll be great.
Damn it.
I was going to do like a rock like guitar riff, but that sounds way better.
Nice.
And the song you heard today was, for the intro, was Dragon Attack, also by Queen. If you didn't catch the subtle joke I'm trying to get out there, you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Okay, so before we get into the film, which is Tales from the Earthsea, an adaptation by Miyazaki, we're going to go ahead and get into what you've been watching. Ryan, what you been watching?
Well, I actually happened upon a really cool comedy special. It just came out last week for us. For y'all, it will have been out for a minute. But it's called Elder Millennial by Eliza Schlesinger. I'm sure I mispronounced her name, and I really am sorry.
No problem.
But she's a fantastic comic. She's one of my favorites that I'm just like kind of discovering, but it's on Netflix, and it's a really funny show. It's only an hour long, and if you she talks about feminism, about what it's like being a millennial, and all the crazy ass shit that we have to deal with as adults in this day and age, and dating and all that good stuff. It's a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend it.
Very nice, very nice. I'll have to go to look. Is it on Netflix?
It is indeed.
Excellent. I'm going to try to keep myself aware of when I'm telling people where stuff's at in case they want to find it, because I always forget to.
Nice.
Show...
Yeah, that's a good idea.
My show is also on Netflix, Ryan. I finished this one probably a good month ago in our recordings, like 5 months for everyone listening to this right now. And I finished One Punch Man.
Oh, dude, really?
So, I got into it late, but I saw some video on the internet saying how good it was, because they were talking about the psychology of One Punch Man and how him being able to beat everything with one punch is, like, mentally killing him. And I'm like, I want to see this for myself, because it looked hilarious, so I wanted to give it a shot. And my God,
dude,
it delivers
so
on the comedy. It's really good. And I like it's strictly a comedy, but it has the production values of a full-on action show. It's mind-boggling how good it is.
It really is. It like, honestly, I'm so glad that you're into it. I know they're doing a second season of it. The manga is still ongoing, and it's just really good. It keeps escalating, and for a while, like the story just starts to kind of diverge from Saitama, because like it's almost like the main story happens outside of Saitama, and it deals with everybody else who's just trying to deal with this fucking world that's going crazy, But then you also have Saitama, who exists and is just superhuman in every aspect.
Well, to me, it's kind of like how I wish the DC comics would handle Superman. You have all these other heroes who are struggling so hard to beat the big bad of the day. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But at the end of the day, all you need is just Superman to come in and just one-punch him, and you're done.
Nah, I mean,
Saitama's supposed to be a spoof of Superman.
Oh, I
So
know. I know.
like-
No, I
Yeah.
just want to see like one episode of Justice League where they just make a reference to that. That'd be hilarious. Just for me, it'd be great.
Oh my god, that would require DC to do something like clever.
Oh, man, I know.
Stop.
But no, the reason I got into One Punch Man is because back a long time ago now, there's a show called Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and they did a short miniseries called The Cell Games. Did you ever watch those, Ryan?
I've seen a few episodes of DBZ Abridged, but I have not seen the Cell Games.
So the Cell Games are fucking great. They partner with other abridged writers, artists, and animators to make unique challenges against Cell, like having Yugi challenge Cell to a trading card game, or having Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter try to fight him, or in the case of One Punch Man, Genos gets his ass kicked, and Saitama's like, "Oh, the fight's not till Wednesday. I'll see you then." It's really kind of cute. I love all the stupid bullshit they do. There's one where fucking Light from Death Note tries to fight Cell, and he kills one of the many hearts Cell has. He's like, "Oh, did you write your name in that notebook to try to kill me?" And he just ends up breaking Light in half. It's fucking
shit.
So Dragon Ball Z Abridged, if anyone wants to watch that, it's on YouTube. If you don't want to watch that, One Punch Man's on Netflix.
I'm so happy you're finally into OPM.
I'm looking for my next short, quick anime fix because I like them being a 12-episode stint. I can go through that really quick. It'd be great.
Yeah, but My Hero Academia. It's just.
I know.
I'm
gonna read
good.
I'm gonna read the manga first, probably, to see if I can get into the story. If I can get that, I might check out the anime.
That's fair. That's fair because the anime is amazingly faithful to the manga. So you'll read it, it'll be like, damn, this is really cool. Then you'll actually watch it come to life on your screen, on your TV screen. And it like I'm doing both at the same time. I'm current on the manga and I am watching the anime as well.
I wish I could do that with One Piece, but that's too much. No, I can't. Nope.
I actually have a friend at work that I got into One Piece, and he is doing a binge of the episodes. He's just getting to the point where everybody
Is he
gets
still
split
alive?
up. What? Yeah, he's dying. He's dying at work, but he's like, when I realized that he was finishing Thriller Bark and he had 4 episodes until they reached the archipelago, I was just like, oh shit. This is gonna be
Well, so that reminds me, so I started getting interested in the Pokemon anime again, because I've heard that when they get to the Gen 4 and Gen 6 regions, the show gets on its, like, all 6 gears. Like, it's fucking hauling ass in those seasons. And I'm like, okay, I want to watch those, but I want the context of what came before and between, because I'm pretty sure there's some stuff they're going to reference I'm not going to get. So
you're going to make yourself watch all of it before
So
it
I'm
gets
not going to watch
stuff?
everything. I've been doing research to find out what the best episodes of each arc are, so that way I don't waste time with like all the filler episodes and the episodes that are really bad, like the Kangaskhan Kid. I'm going to watch just the good ones, and the ones that have like the most heart and meaning to them. So while it's... So it's a filler episode, but I'm definitely going to do stuff like the one where you see Meowth's backstory, because I think that's a fucking great one. I love that one. He learns to walk and talk. It's fantastic. And of course, like the big gym battles, everyone says watch the Volcanic Panic one where he fights Blaine on the volcano. Like, obviously I'm going to watch that one. That is probably the best gym battle from Season 1. But, yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes open. I've made the list for the first up to Hoenn region. I'm looking at Sinnoh right now, which is Gen 4 for those who need to keep up. And I heard Gen 5 is absolute garbage, but I'm gonna at least see the highlights. I want to at least see the highlights. So yeah, that's been my week. With that, let's get into our episode of the week, or movie of the week. It is this week's on our inappropriately named SummerSlam. We'll be looking at the debut picture of Miyazaki, Goro Miyazaki's 2006 adaptation of Tales of Earthsea. Currently, this film has grossed a total of $68,673,000 worldwide. The English dub features voices for the likes of Timothy Dalton, Cheech Marin, Matt Levin, Tress McNeely, Blair Restanio, and the legendary Willem Dafoe.
I'm so mad I didn't watch the dub of this.
He does a pretty good job as a spooky villain. I like him. While nominated...
Of course he's Cobb. Of course he is. Who else would the fuck he be? I'm sorry.
While nominated for a few real awards, the only awards taken home for this one were from Japan's Bushin Raspberry Awards for Worst Director, with Tales of Earthsea receiving the award for Worst Movie at the end of 2006. I think that's a bit harsh. But before we get into the film, Ryan, I'm leaving you with the bonus facts this week.
Yeah, I think that is a bit harsh too. But bonus facts: Hayao Miyazaki had wanted to do an adaptation of Earthsea for a long time, but had been turned down by the author Ursula Le Guin. After seeing My Neighbor Totoro, however, Le Guin changed her mind. At this time, however, Miyazaki was hard at work with the production of Howl's Moving Castle and couldn't make time to do so. Producer Toshio Suzuki, we've mentioned him before, suggested that Miyazaki's son, Goro, take on the director's role for the film. It should be said, Goro, at the time, had no experience directing a film production ever. His prior work as a construction consultant was definitely not ideal experience for him to begin filmmaking. Regardless, Goro accepted, even though his father was against the idea. Upon the film's release, Le Guin was disappointed. The film didn't really adapt her books, any of them, at all. It was as if aspects were taken from all the books and mushed into one film. Per our notes, Goro was inspired by and borrowed heavily from Hayao Miyazaki's graphic novel, The Journey of Shauna, aspects of which were seen in films like Nausicaa. Now, while Le Guin was disappointed, it is said that Hayao saw his son's work, and was proud of what he accomplished. Their relationship was restored, and we get to see Goro take another stab at directing not too far down the road.
I'm excited to get to that film when we get to it, because it's a couple weeks from now, actually. That'll be pretty fun.
Man.
There's a lot of history with this one.
That makes sense. Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, if you have read the Earthsea books, because I think it's a trilogy, isn't it? If you've read the Earthsea trilogy, you will recognize the names. You might recognize the places. A lot of it's going to be a little different, though.
A little? A little bit?
Okay.
Let me tell you what, I actually read the first book of the Earthsea trilogy because my friend in college said, hey, this is a fantastic book, you should definitely check it out. And I really, really liked it. And it's been a while for me. But, so I recognized Sparrowhawk. When I saw, like, oh shit, that's Sparrowhawk, I'm like, god damn, this is the mage of all mages! And that was where all the recognition stopped for me.
Yeah, so I've never read it, so I have a more positive opinion for it. I think it's visually among Ghibli, the Studio Ghibli's best. Like, it's pretty solid. Like, I don't think it's number one, but it's definitely up there. They got the visuals down pat, but I do think the story is a bit dense. Not bad, just a little dense. And obviously it doesn't copy the book, but since I didn't read it, I'm not going to judge it on those grounds, personally.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Since, like, this movie is, like, my recollection of the Earthsea books are definitely not the clearest, so I looked at the movie as on its own merits as well. I think this movie tackles some of the darkest themes that we've seen in Studio Ghibli. Some of I'm not talking Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah, we're not getting that far.
But like it does tackle some rough stuff, and I appreciated the freshness there. But the story at times felt a little wandering, a little bit like I wasn't really sure where it was going to go. Like it set the stage for like this grand tale, and then somewhere along the end of Act 1 decided to say, we're going to tell a smaller tale with it.
So what's funny is after I watched this, I thought to myself, I need to get more context as to how to think about this one. So I rewatched Nostalgia Critic's video on this one, where he did his Disney December, and he discussed this movie. And he said exactly the same thing.
Ooh.
The first act sets up the movie for this big epic adventure with these dragons, these knights, this end-of-the-world stuff. But by the time you get to the end of Act 3, or into the Act 3, you're dealing with this very personal, small story of just this really gross wizard dude who, yeah, he's a threat, but you don't really see how he can be a big threat, dealing with just kidnapping a little girl and killing her. It's like, okay. I mean, not because of this film, but for everything they set up in the first act, they definitely don't deliver on it. But before we get into that, because we're getting a little way ahead of ourselves, we have a synopsis here.
Sorry.
There we go. Dragons signal an upset in the balance of the world, just before the king is killed by a supposedly missing Prince Aaron. Hey, that's me. The young man runs away to find himself chased by wolves. A powerful Gandalf-like wizard, going by the name of Sparrowhawk, saves him and explains he is off to see what's going on in the world. They venture into what is essentially Mos Eisley and then get separated. Running from an unseen follower, Aaron finds a group of bad guys who are trying to assault a young girl. He stops them, letting this darker side of him slip out. Aaron is eventually caught by the same slayer as himself. His sword is then tossed in the sea. While on a train to Fantasy Auschwitz, Sparrowhawk magics Aaron to freedom, freeing the other slaves to boot. Sort of. This pisses off Willem Dafoe's evil archmage on his quest for immortality and possibly panties. Dafoe asks the slavers to bring Sparrowhawk to him. Alive! Sparrowhawk takes Aaron to the farm, literally, to hang out with his side honey, and a girl she's taken in, Teru. Teru, of course, is the girl Aaron saved earlier when he let his dark side slip out. No innuendos there. As nightmares and visions cloud his mind, Aaron elects to leave so the girls don't get hurt by his drama. The slavers find Sparrowhawk, and he uses more creative magic, to give the slavers the runaround. He finds Aaron and Aaron's sword and works to bring it back to him, as he knows it secretly is enchanted with magic. I have some typos here. The slavers then take the side honey and leave Teru with a message for Sparrowhawk. Typical hostage-taking tactics. It happens. Teru gives Sparrowhawk the warning. Sparrowhawk gives her the sword in turn, literally, to give to Aaron. When Sparrowhawk arrives to save his side honey, Aaron is there and tries to kill him like he'd done with his daddy. He failed, and Sparrowhawk is captured by the Dafoe gang. It is here we come to find out Aaron has been a doppelganger for some time, and Teru finds the light Aaron. She learns his real name and says it to the Aaron we've come to know. This undoes his doppelganger shenaniganery, and they mount a rescue to save Sparrowhawk. From Dafoe. Dafoe's more monstrous side is revealed, and he goes all out against the children. When Dafoe believes he's killed Teru, she comes back as a motherfucking dragon, and gives him what for. She and Aaron fly off into the sunset, where he says he'll return home to pay for his crimes that he technically may not have even committed. The film ends with the men leaving their side honeys and balance being restored. Possibly? Question mark?
God, hearing you lay it out like that, it makes it seem more kind of slapdash than I really felt it was. But I agree with
yeah,
it.
So last time we talked about House of Castle, and we mentioned that there's some stuff in there that isn't from the book, like Sophie being magic, and how it's sort of in the movie, but not really, and so it's very ambiguous and unclear. In this one, we have Prince Aaron, who was a doppelganger. At some point, And it's never really clear as to when and when he isn't a doppelganger, and when his actions are his own actions, and vice versa. It's...
See, now, when I watched it, I didn't get the idea that Aaron was a doppelganger. I got the idea that the shadow that had been chasing him was the light side of him, and that it was essentially a magical representation of how far Aaron has fallen from himself to the fact that like the light in him has been separated and is trying to get back to him.
That's fair.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
So I used doppelganger in here because after watching the film, I thought to myself, okay, I know essentially what happened, but I want to make sure I got all the context right. So I looked up a synopsis and not necessarily copied, but at least followed along with what they said. And they mentioned doppelgangers. I'm like, did I miss something? Is this like not a traditional doppelganger? And then I had to go back and look, and I'm like, okay, I guess technically they might be right. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really agree with the idea that it was a doppelganger.
Yeah.
I like the more subjective interpretation.
Yeah.
That through some magic shenanigans, like Aaron was so deep in his fucking feelings that the light in him separated and had been trying to get back to him ever since.
So I guess this leads me to my first question. We're just going to jump right into this here. So then, is it clear why Aaron killed his father? And is there a deeper meaning behind any of it?
No! It's not! It's really not! And it irritates me. I liked the fact that they were willing to play with the idea of like a protagonist being so fucking dark. Like the moment where his eyes go wild, like as he's about to fight the slavers, and he says, "Life means nothing to me." I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, that's kind of badass. I want to see where you go with Berserker mode, Aaron, and see what the fuck is actually going on back there." But they never really gave it a real, like, they never gave it a real meaning or a real explanation. It was just the idea that he was so afraid of failing his father and of essentially living life that he was caught in, like, a deep, deep depression that manifested itself as anger. Apparently a super ragey anger that leads him to kill his dad without reason, but fucking, I don't know.
I mean, we all have ways of dealing with our problems. Some people, they take up video games. Other people, they get stamp collecting. Some, they murder their father. I mean, it happens.
Some they murder a guy who literally everybody considers to be like one of the greatest men of all time and is actually actively working to save the world. Nah, fuck it, kill him.
Wait, who killed Jackie Chan?
Oh, no.
God, if something happens in real life to Jackie Chan, I'll be super sad that I did this. Anyway, moving on. But no, so I asked about deeper meaning behind it. And so I did read it on this one because I was very curious as to the reason why. And it's speculated, but it has been disproven, or at least Goro Miyazaki came out and said, no, it's not true. People have suspected when the film first came out that when Prince Aaron kills his father, it was Goro kind of metaphorically putting himself in the shoes of the kid killing his father. And
what?
Well, no. So some fans have gone out of the way to state this, basically saying that that he was not wanting to live in his father's shadow, so he wanted to take a drastic action to kind of show he was going to be different. And what better way than to metaphorically kill him in the film? Now he's, like I said, gone on record saying that's not true, but it is an interesting read on the scene.
Interesting, but entirely inaccurate, like many of my trivia answers in the past couple of
Boom!
episodes.
Shots fired.
At myself.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, no, I like I said, it would be interesting, and he's never gonna come out publicly and say, "Hey, yeah, you're right." No, that's never gonna happen. But I honestly don't think that is the case, especially hearing all of the backstory. And the fact that Miyazaki was actually proud of his son and gave him another shot, like, later on in life. No, I don't think that's a thing.
Oh yeah, actually, what I read recently, Goro actually had an anime series. He was doing a TV show as of I think last year.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so the next question I can skip because it's about the book, but you knew it was based on the book and all that stuff. So moving on to the next one. What do you think of the film's depiction of magic, and how does this compare to what we saw in Halloween Castle? I have thoughts on this one, but I want to hear yours.
So, okay. One of my... No, scratch that. My favorite book, period, is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And in that setting, he describes both a series of magic that's really scientific in its understanding and application, but then he also introduced the concept of true magic, which borrows heavily from the idea of if you know something's true name, you can have it do your will and whatnot. And the concept of naming as a magic system is familiar to me, and I definitely love that. That being said, it was not really used in this movie. It was spoken about, but all of the weird magic that happens, aside from Cobb just being a fucking creeper once he knew Aaron's true name, and kind of subtly mentally just controlling him to do crazy shit because he knew his true name. Aside from that, the concept of magic wasn't readily used, which is really sad because Sparrowhawk is the fucking archmage. How the fuck did he get captured by a bunch of fucking mooks? Oh my god, never mind.
Mm-hmm. So my opinion is that I kind of like it a little bit in the sense that it's very subtle magic. So the scene that stuck out to me the most is when he transforms his face to throw off the guards and then turns back immediately to speak back to the shopkeep. I love that scene.
That was well done.
Because it was very subtle, very straightforward, and it's very practical. If I had to compare this to Halloween Castle, which I'm going to real quick, both rely heavily on using magic to accomplish their stories. I think Halloween Castle is definitely flashier, and it's harder to conceptualize on its own. If I were to describe the magic of Howl's Castle, a particular magic moment, it's hard to really put it into words because a lot of it's very abstract in places. Whereas in this film, it seems a lot more practical and a lot more grounded, which you could argue is bad because it's not as fantastical, but you could also argue that it makes it a lot easier to then explain, oh hey, this is what this magic spell is, this is what this one does, etc., etc. I like the simplicity of it. I like that it's just very easy to digest when you see it. It's definitely not as flashy, and I think it could definitely stand to be a little bit more colorful and flashy, but it's also not the kind of film this is, so I think it fits the piece it's trying to tell.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. The idea of the subtler magic and the less flashy, fantastical magic, I think it definitely fits the setting itself. Well, so it fits the setting and it fits the story that they're telling, but at the same time, you have essentially not the protagonist, but the guy who's doing all the fucking work in 90% of the movie, who is notably known as the most powerful wizard in the land. And I don't really feel like he lives up to that title. When it comes down to it, when it comes time for everything to happen, he doesn't really. And I understand it's really to give the protagonist a moment to shine and actually get the shit taken care of. But it is a little disappointing.
Here's what I think they need to do at the end. And I'm gonna Monday morning quarterback here real quick. So you're building up this big epic fight. I think the big epic fight still needs to be Cobb versus Sparrowhawk to have this magic blowout nonsense. I think that would have been a really cool finale. But you still need to give Aaron something to do. I think his best role would have been to fight a magically empowered or enchanted slaver guy. I don't remember what the guy's name was. The one with the mustache. But have Cobb imbue him with some magic to make him stronger, faster, maybe even gives him an ability to cast some kind of spell. Maybe he just breathes fire, for fuck's sake, I don't know. But make him something, so that way Eren has something to fight that he has to overcome. It still will kill Teru and all that. It will go through all that mess. But that way Cobb is fighting his archenemy, and Eren is overcoming his fears, so to speak. I think that would have been a much stronger finale than, Magic Guy gets crippled and takes on a sword fighter. That's not as interesting, I don't think.
Well, so I thought the interesting part of the final fight was the idea that it wasn't necessarily a combat, like a physical combat, but it was more a battle of ideals. Like as Eren, as Teru, kind of enlightened Eren, and how Eren had this kind of renewed mindset about not being afraid of death, and how the concept of death makes life precious, and that's why we should enjoy every moment of death of life that we have. Bringing that to Cobb, who spent literally centuries trying to avoid death, I thought it made the ideological battle interesting, very interesting, and I appreciated that. And I understand that that's kind of why they benched Sparrowhawk, so that you could get that. But god damn it, can I have the Archmage do some Archmagey shit? Can I please? I just want a little bit.
I definitely feel like there's a better way to handle this third act. I'm just not sure what it necessarily is. Because you're right, the ideological battle still needs to happen. But I think that, like I said, there needs to be something to give Sparrowhawk more than just, oh hey, I'm captured, save me, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways it can go. I have no way to nail it down completely, but yeah, it's something that could definitely be discussed in depth more. But I got a few more questions here for you. Let's see, next up, is there a deeper meaning behind Eren being manipulated by fear? And if so, what is that meaning?
Well, I think we already touched on it as the, how being ruled by your fears, be it the fear of death, be it the fear of failure, can really allow your life to be kind of overcome in darkness. It brings out the worst bits of you. You react poorly to damn near everything. And it really changes you as a person to be in that constant fog of depression and fear. I think that was definitely really, really portrayed very well. That's what I was trying to say in this particular movie. And I actually really like the idea that they even gave a brief glimpse into addiction as a form of escape to get away from that. I was really surprised that they brought that up, but goddamn, they did.
I like that. I was disappointed they didn't play with it more. I mean, I get that it's still a kids' movie, so they couldn't have pushed
it got
too
dark.
hard.
For the 2 minutes that he talked about it, it got dark. I didn't need it to do anything else. I just like the fact that they brought it up, and how Eren even considered it for a hot second, which really alludes to how fucked up Eren is mentally. And then Sparrowhawk shows him hey, no, look at these people on the ground. Your mind thinks that it's in paradise, and it leaves your body to rot. And then when your mind returns, you have to get more until you finally die. That's addiction. And you running from your problems is not going to solve it. In fact, it's going to make it 10 times worse. So I love that they tackled that.
To go off your point, though, about fear making you do these horrible decisions and stuff, I'm going to quote a movie that you'll recognize probably right away that sums it up perfectly. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And hate leads to suffering. And I think this movie does a fair job representing that, I think.
Very true. Oh my god, it's Eren's literal descent into the dark side. Of the Force. I mean, of the balance. I mean, fucking, what were we talking about?
I mean, you can say what you want about the movie it comes from, but it's a good quote. I like it. And,
it is.
It's true, and I think this film does a good job with it. I think a lot of shows that do metaphors of what fear can lead to and how people ruled by it make the worst decisions. Like, people who are fearful of different races taking over or fearful of different genders getting power. Yeah, you all make bad decisions.
Or bathrooms. Fucking bathrooms. Jesus Christ.
I don't get why the bathroom thing was even an argument. I don't get it. Like, people gotta pee, man. Just let them in. Fucking let them in.
Ugh.
If you're worried about pedophiles, look out for James Gunn. Sorry, he's not a pedophile.
No! Damn it, he can change! I'm sorry. Alright.
I feel bad making these jokes, but at the same time, there's some comedy to it. Okay, let's see what I got next. Okay, much like Spirited Away, this film utilizes the power of having... Sorry, let me start over. Much like Spirited Away, this film utilizes names as having a power over people. How do you think this film handles that concept?
I feel like I answered a lot of these.
I know. I just don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add to it.
No, I mean, again, I'm familiar with the concept of naming as a magic system. I think it's a really gorgeous concept. Anybody who, I would highly recommend checking out the Earthsea trilogy because they also do an amazing job with naming. But I promise you, if anybody wants a fantastic read The Name of the Wind, and then read its sequel, The Wise Man's Fear. Not only are they masterfully written books, but Patrick Rothfuss really goes deep into the concept of naming as a magic system, and it's a very poetic form of magic, and it's really, really good. I strongly recommend it to anybody.
It's usually my read list. Okay, we've already discussed the animation. I think we both agreed it was pretty good, right?
It was subtly good. It was really solid. That's exactly how you put it. I think that hits it on the head. It was very solid.
I want to point out a couple things real quick, though. So the opening moment where the two dragons come out of the sky, that was fucking great.
That was really good.
It was really good. And the animation for Cobb when he's becoming a goo monster and doing the final fight, while the final fight itself was not as spectacular as I'd like it to be, he was still done really well. Mm-hmm. I can applaud that. They made him look fucking terrifying by the end.
Yeah. It was, especially with the black holes, the black gaping holes for eyes. That was fucked up, man. That was fucked up.
And actually, that kind of goes back to the nightmare sequence too, where Aaron is stuck in a dream world goo monster kind of thing.
Yeah,
that was also pretty good.
And I like that they visually tied that from Aaron's deepest darkest fears coming to consume him towards the actual representation of what Cobb had become. It tied the parallel when Aaron said, "You're like me, you're like me centuries from now if I hadn't figured out the truth." So I like that they did that visually as well as ideologically.
Yep, they were competent at the very least. I'll give them that. Okay, last question before we move on to the last few segments here. How do you think Goro Miyazaki's directorial debut compares to the legacy of his father?
It's an unfair comparison.
And for context, Goro Miyazaki actually did start directing at the age of 39, the same age his father did way, way back in the day.
Huh.
So it's kind of nice how the two of them kind of follow similar paths at this time in their lives.
I honestly, I don't think he did that bad of a job. I think the faults of the movie don't necessarily lie with the direction of the movie, but rather the size of the project that he took on. If he was given a different project to do his directorial debut, I think he would have done much better. I don't think he did bad. But tackling an adaptation of a very prominent fantasy author, because anybody who reads fantasy absolutely knows who Ursula K. Le Guin is, but tackling that large of a project on your first go, he was almost set up to fail. So I feel bad.
Yeah. I think that had they given him a smaller project like Ponyo, like maybe not Howl's Moving Castle, but definitely something that definitely a shorter, like 90-minute, something that could translate in 90 minutes a little easier. He might have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, there were things about the movie that he did very well. There were things there were.
Oh yeah,
I thought the ideological concepts that were addressed were done very well. I applaud his boldness in going towards those darker themes and like wrestling with them. I really thought that was well done as well. But again,
and like we said, the animation's on par with some of the best of Miyazaki.
Yeah, the
animation's
Ghibli, on point too. But like I said, I think it was just the size of the project that did him in.
Yeah, and it's a world that I'm actually very interested in. I'd love to see more of it, and I know that there's like 3 books of it, sort of, because this world's not necessarily the same one as the one in the books, but that's not the point. The point is, there's more to this story that he is unable to do in this one film.
Yeah.
And I think that if they were going to adapt these books, they would need to have adapted them into a trilogy rather than just a single film. And I don't know if they ever planned on doing that, or like if his dad had been the one doing it, would he have done that? I don't know. There's a lot of questions I'd love to have answered.
I honestly, I wish that we could go to an alternative universe and see the tales of Earthsea that Hayao Miyazaki had actually done. I would really love to see what he would have tackled differently, because the story that his son Goro seeks to tell is definitely a Studio Ghibli-esque story. Like, it hits a lot of those ideas that are prevalent in the rest of their filmography, but it's definitely not Ursula Le Guin's story. What she tells are very different stories than what Miyazaki does. So I'd be very interested to see how Miyazaki the Elder would have tackled this as well, because this is already a complicated thing to translate into Studio Ghibli.
To quote Le Guin, after she'd seen the movie, "It's not my book, but it's your movie, and it's a fine movie."
That's fair. You know what? That is a fair ending on that. Yeah, it's not the book, but it's its own movie, and it's pretty good.
With that in mind, let's move on to our next segment, the mailbag. Again, we'll remind you guys, if you want to reach out to us via Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, or our fancy dandy email. Ryan, what is that email?
It's imsolonely@gmail.com. I mean, it's it's evacstation@gmail.com.
Indeed. If you reach out to us at any of those platforms, we will be sure to read your comments on the show. And if you don't get them to us before the end of, or if you get them to us soon, we'll try to do like an end episode wrap up for all of the Ghibli stuff to kind of just read all the comments at once, because we'd love to hear from everybody. What do you all think of anime? What do you think of these anime movies? What do you think of Ghibli? What do you think of Miyazaki, his son, the Totoro, the Death God, anything? And with that in mind, we'll come on to our next segment. I don't have a conspiracy corner for you, Ryan. This one's not super connected to anything, because reasons, obviously.
Because of reasons.
But I have a trivia. Cue the music! So, Ryan, I've got 3 more tropes for you today. I think you're going to like these. I think you'll get one of them for sure.
Okay.
You might even get the third one. The first one might be a little tough. It's more a pun that you might not get.
Alright.
Okay. The first Japanese anime trope. 1, 2, 3, 4, go!
What? What the fuck?
Yep.
Okay,
So what do we got here, Ryan? What does 1, 2, 3, 4, go mean? If you know Japanese, this is super easy.
Oh! Because go is the Japanese word for 5, isn't it? Ich, ni, san, shi, go? Yes?
Someone give him the ding. He's got it. In Japanese, go means 5, but many Japanese are also aware that it also means move forward or take action in English. So the word is mixed into gratuitous English or included in gratuitous Japanese. It becomes a pun, having both meanings at once. You hit the nail on the head. I appreciate that. That's good stuff.
I actually knew something.
You actually might get all these then. Shit. All right, next one. What is the silly me gesture?
A silly me gesture. Honestly, this one.
I know you've seen this one at least once before.
I don't know. You're probably right. You're probably gonna say the example, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, yeah, no, that's what that is. But I can't call to mind anything. Is it?
Yes.
Is it where people just kind of put their hands on the side of their faces after they do something stupid, like or something? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
You're fairly close. There's a bit more
Okay.
to it. The silly me gesture is a self-inflicted version of the dope slap. This is when a character hits herself or himself on the head softly, winks and sticks their tongue out after tripping, dropping, or doing some other mistake in acknowledgement of their blooper.
Oh man, I have to actually see this. I probably know exactly what it looks like, but I want to see it.
You're clicking the link
Yeah.
in the thing.
I'm not cheating, but we've already
No, I
we've
trust you, I
already
trust
got
you.
it. Oh, it's like
It's a cute pic. I like the pic
no. All right, I like that. That's good.
they use. All right, and number 3, as you can probably read on the thing, killing intent.
Oh, dude.
What is killing intent?
Yeah, that's actually pretty self-explanatory. But it's like it's the idea that a warrior can, like you can almost feel like the murder radiating off of certain really powerful, really dangerous enemies. It's prevalent in use of a lot of shonen anime and manga. The first one that comes to mind is Zoro from One Piece, who manages to cleave a person in half. The person is made of snow, so it wouldn't actually kill them, but his killing intent is so intense that he cleaves her in half and leaves her paralyzed in fear, knowing that he absolutely could have killed her if he wanted to. Yeah.
See, the first one I thought of in this one, too, was Guts from Berserk, because, I mean, that guy is living...
Oh, yeah,
intent
absolutely.
Right
That man is a walking embodiment of murder.
So I'll read the description, even though you pretty much nailed it. Particularly common in Eastern works is the idea that when someone intends to inflict pain or death, their killing intent can be felt as a slight pressure or chill, even to people unaware of their presence. The effect is amplified if you look into their eyes, or if they want to hurt you in particular, so on and so forth. So, yeah. Ryan got all 3 this week, basically.
That one I knew.
Yeah, no, that last one I was pretty sure you were going to get, because I knew you've seen Berserk, I know you've seen Zoro, I figured that one was a gimme.
Thank you. I appreciate the occasional gimme. Makes me feel like I'm not a moron.
Oh, you're not a moron. You're smarter than me sometimes, I'll give you that much. Alright, coming up, then we have the final round of ranking the film. From gold to silver to bronze to shit to stone, not just bouncing everywhere. And all the ranks. If you want to know what all of those ranks mean and how we score our films, please check the link in the description down below to get a full picture of that, because it goes into some detail and it really helps out. So Ryan, with that in mind, how would you rank this film? I know we discussed it in Howl's Moving Castle that this would be... Wait, no, actually it was between films, sorry. Between recordings. You said this would be a little lower.
Yeah.
You implied it, so I'm curious what you think.
So, in between the recordings, I had mentioned that similarly to how you were kind of on the fence between a high-tier silver or a low-tier gold for Howl's Moving Castle, I said that this was kind of straddling a fence for me personally as well, just not the same one. So... Again, I think this movie does some things very, very well. But I think the overall cohesion of the story isn't really there. And I felt that the kind of pick and choosing of things to take from the adaptation of the main work ultimately hurt the story they were trying to tell. So, like, I thought I was kind of in between a decision, but with the description, I've got to land on a bronze. It's a good bronze, but I definitely think there are some things that could have been ironed out.
Now I feel you. So for me, I look at this one in howls, and like I mentioned, I think in our last recording, which was back when we were doing Mononoke and Yamada's, I had mentioned to you that I found both these films to be similar in a lot of different ways. Obviously, they're not one for one, but they're both adaptations. They both have a big reliance on fantasy and magic, and they're both very well animated. And both of them, to me, start off really strong, and then have a very hit-or-miss third act. In the case of Howl's Castle, it's because there's so many plot threads going all at once, and it's unraveling really quickly, and it's hard to really follow any individual one with any real comprehension on my part. And then in this one, it just doesn't live up to what the first act was trying to set up. And I'm not sure which problem I found to be worse. I kept going back and forth as to which one I liked better than the other. Because, like I said, they both have similar strengths and similar weaknesses. And it's hard for me to determine which is better. I think overall the animation of Howl's Castle still wins out because it's just so fantastically colorful and vibrant and sticks out so much better. But I think the story here is definitely a little more linear and concise. And it's definitely something that I can step into, okay, I know what's going on for the most part. Let's roll with it. So I would say it's not as borderline as Howl's Castle. I'd say it's sitting just below it in the silver rank. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I saw the ones we're doing for next week. They both get upended a little bit, in my opinion.
All right.
They got some serious competition next week, folks. You just hang on tight, because next week we're getting a little fishy up in here. With that in mind, let's go ahead and close out the show. Again, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and evacstation@gmail.com. You can also find us on YouTube. Steam groups, I think, is still active, and a bunch of other shit. We're also on all the different platforms: Stitcher, Podcast Addict, everything. Well, okay, not everything, but a lot of different things. So, find us on your platform of choice. Find us on your social media choice. Comment, like, share, rate. Ratings help us get more visible on the platforms that you listen to us on. And, yeah, stay tuned, because I guess you guys, I forgot to mention it last time, but this is still Halloween. This is still October month. And, you guys are probably listening to some really good spooky films right now on the other end of the week. So, yeah. Tune in for that, and then tune in next week for Ponyo.
I can't wait, honestly. I've been wanting to see this forever.
I have a little bit of backstory for it, but I'll save it for that episode, because I got some stuff to say. But yeah, so tune in for that, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye!